Hello and welcome again. In this playlist or this particular sessions, uh, this would be perhaps the last part because I think that the videos we have done most likely would help you jumpstart your knowledge about programming and the how you code things, and it's the of course programming is huge. It's even for me who have been programming for about 15 plus years now. I perhaps 70% I probably have an idea but haven't tried it yet. It's vast, and that's why I'm also encouraging you and and sharing it to you that it's okay. You don't have to learn everything about it. What we're trying to do here is the basics, right? And the basics, including this last video for this list, is debugging. And I plan to do debugging for every list of tutorials or knowledge sharings I will try to make in the future, because I think this is very crucial. Creating, coding things is, again, also less than half of it. Debugging and maintaining an application, changing it, understanding it again. If you code it last year, you go back at your code, you have to understand it again and you have to debug it. And yeah, it's about 80% the cost of creating and maintaining or using the application the programmers made are most of it are put into maintenance and debugging. Here we go. We are going to do debugging. So first we have to, of course, open our Eclipse. And again, if I don't know how if you're the first time you're seeing this video, I suggest you go back to the playlist from start. But of course, if you're pretty much confident and have a debugging is, I'm not sure if I've mentioned it already. It's like an investigation. It's like investigation, tracing line by line. Where uh, debugging from the word bug. Okay, give you a brief history why uh, an error or an issue or whatever you call it is called a bug in programming. It's because in I remember when I was in high school, the reason why they call it a bug because what caused their old computer is a bug. Not sure if it's a beetle or whatever, but yeah, the computer crash. I'm not sure if it's crashing or not working because of a bug inside the computer. So that's why they call it debugging. Debugging is something really very common nowadays, but you'll probably hear it most of the time in programming. Oh, you better get used to it. So again, it's like tracing, investigating. It's like something like you're a detective here, and you're checking what caused the your code, uh, to break or to show an error, whatever it makes. So yeah, debugging has two parts in my understanding, or in my opinion at least. First is checking the logs, checking the audit trail. You could create audit trails here, logging file, and in my opinion, it's not that important right now for someone to learn. It's also like coding, something like also doing this, and it will be saved to a file. You check what happened there. You also trace. But what we're going to do here is debugging and checking the code. And how do we do that? First, in IDs mostly now, um, it's easier to debug. And I'm not sure about the other IDs, but Eclipse and IntelliJ, You could like double click on this one. There you go. When you saw something here, it's something, yeah, breakpoint. They call it breakpoint, right? When you put a breakpoint, and application is running in your, in this case, in your local machine, and what will happen is like it will stop from there on this one, right? So if you remember, you right click, run as, run Java application, and you can click it this way, and it's the same thing. You run the application but in another way, and you might, and you right click, and then just below the run as in Eclipse, you can see the debug as, and it's the same Java application, run as Java application, debug as Java application. And you might wondering why it's separated. Debugging is something that causes the computer to consume more memory and kind of consume processing power more. So yeah, that's why I think, in my opinion, again, in my understanding, they separated it. Perhaps even me, when I started trying to debug, I wonder why it's it, you know, can always run debug us, and then you just remove the breakpoints here. So let's try it now. Right click on debug us and Java application. Okay, just allow access. Let's click this one, switch. It will just change the how it will be shown, but it's still the same. So let me click switch button, the switch button here, and there you go. And it kind of changed, right? The before it's the project explorer here, but now it goes here, right? And again, still the same. The Java classes are still here, and you might be wondering it's different now here, and this is because it is important to see. And you did, this is the console, right? Normally when we try to click this one or right click and run as it automatically show uh, uh, I'll just try to put all here again, dragging it, clicking left click, dragging it here, so it will be, same pane here. Then just put into tabs. Normally when you run it, all of the system out that line will automatically show, and the reason why it's not, because it was stopped, and that's debugging. And you also try to mind on this part, right? Breakpoints, you can just see this one, it's just saying here, if we do this also, it will just show the list of breakpoints, right? Expressions, uh, we'll go there a little bit later. It's also very helpful, that's why it's there. So let's see, and it stopped here, right? And it actually haven't tried to instantiate and put the value of data, the t in the data in, and because here variable list will go a little bit here, uh, it haven't like put the instantiated data in there. And how do we go to the next line now? So I'm actually not really um, not really an expert of this button here. Let's try this one, okay? Or um, but let's try to do this. I'll press F6, right? So F6, just one F6, one press, and I'll do it now. And it didn't go as I planned it, but hmm, let me just double check. I'll just click it again, right? Okay, and stop again. Hmm, I'm not sure. Where is it? And my F6 did not. Let me just try to press F5 here. Ah, there you go. It's F5. I don't know. It so I'm not sure if it would be the same thing in your downloaded ID, but it should be if I downloaded the same version of Eclipse as me. So I press F5 and it goes one line down, right? And as you can see, data in the variable name and the value is 50, right? I'll press F5 again. Where is it? F5, and then you can see it says the value now. And after we do this, it will also place it here, right? There you go. This is a string. And we'll go F5 again. Okay. Since this is instantiating, right? There you go. It goes here because this is it. Now I'll just put it down a little bit here. This one instantiated is this one, so it goes there. And let's just press F5 again. Okay, so this will be really far now, but let's just try. Let's just go back here and I'll double click it here again. And let me press, I'm not sure if it's F6. It's still stopped here. Okay, there you go. I'll just close it because these are already something that something native to Java, which we do not need to understand. So let's just press F6. There you go. And press the other F6 again. How about this one? Let me just try this one. F8. How about F8? There you go. F8 is from one line break to another. And hello world, well now instantiated, but um, don't mind this yet. It's just like it's actually a memory in your machine. And when we go here after this one, let's press F6, F5 again. F5. There you go. Let's just go back here a little bit. So from this one, it goes now to the next, to this particular method, right? It jumped here, prepare variables, right? And now it will, let's try F5 again. F5. Not sure why it's trying to jump on this, but how about let's do like this one, and I'll press F8. Oof, it jumped. Let's double check on this one. It's the same thing as run hello world, but this one's the bug, so let's click this one. There you go. Okay. Where is it? Debug show. And to be honest, some of it haven't not really useful to me, or haven't might be useful because it's there, but haven't really used it too much, or haven't zero. No, it's not showing here, but let me just press F8 again. F8, and then it jump here. And what we're going to do is let's put it something another breakpoint here, and let's press F8. And yeah, so it jumped because we have something here. And if we press F8 again, what will happen is, it since this was called from here, it will jump to here, right? So let's try to press F8 here. There you go. It jumped, and what happened? It already executed these codes, right? There you go. And let's do another F5 here. Trying to read the print line. It's F6. There you go. I think it's F6 here. There you go. It's F6. Hmm. But again, same thing. First, it's the hello world, and when you click this one, the loop class contains the variables already here, right? And let's see it. Loop class, and why it has values, because the variables, right? Initially it's false, false, right? And let's just go back here. And yeah, if we press this, so since set, let's just go here, right? And go here. So, and what we're going to do is like this again, just dragging it same. So this one we'll call this, and we are passing the variable, the boolean variable false. But since it's already false, it shouldn't change, but it will go here, right? Let's try to do it. Let's press F6. No, it didn't. I think I should have pressed F5, but let's see. But this is the most uh, kind of interesting part here. So when you call this, this is it, right? And when it goes here, show while loop is still false, but we're passing it through. Let's just put it here, right? And we'll press F6. It should call from this one, it will go here. There you go. And since this is true from this one, we will now, it will now be set as true. I'll just press it again, F6. And if we, this, remember this is the one that we're trying to look at, and it's just, there you go. And it's highlighted as yellow. Normally highlighted yellow, it changed, right? And let's go more on this F6 and loop plus one here, right? And after we press F6 again, there you go. This was just added, and let's check again. It's the same as the above, and it's initially it's both false, and since we're going to set this one to true for the loop class 2, and let's just press F6. There you go. it it changed from white to yellow because it just changed, and since this will be false, it goes here because there's a breakpoint. So true and still false, right? And how awesome is this, because you are able to see line by line when a variable have changed or where did it go from from this particular area to another, right? And and this is actually debugging for Java, and this is actually debugging for other, for also for other programming languages, code level, right? Debugging can also be called on the logs, you know, what the audit trail, but this is the debugging in code level. So how about let's after this one, it's called uh, this. Sorry, I was not able to mention this, but the show loop here was called from this one, and it should be added another one of this, after we pass this line. And let's just press F6 again. There you go. Because it called this one here. And you can actually debug it as well if you put something here, right? Like this one. How about we do that? And that's actually how debugging really works, right? So there you go. Not sure why it's. Oh, okay, okay. So this will be when I click this one, it will no longer stop, and it will show all of this, right? And my this anything that like this show properties. Let's check this show properties here. It will show this one system output print line. Let's just close this one twice because we will be calling house class example 1 and house class example 2 for the show properties. And let's just press this one or F8. There you go. Right. So yeah, let's do it again because I think it's very crucial to understand this. But before that, we will try to also refactor this one. How about remember that our main method is becoming larger again, and what we normally do is like we put this one to another method. How about that? So how about we do public void uh, execute house class example, and there you go. And since no variables are needed here, we'll just control X here or cut control X and control V. There you go. Since we know that this is executed like this one, it will show the highlighted one here, or until this one show house till here. We can put it into a method, and you know what? You can call it, with the logic, with the condition. Like for example, if if 10 is greater than 2, and then we call execute. I'll press control space. Okay, oops, so many. um, ah you have to initialize this one too. House class example, house class example was a new, and I'll press control space, and it will suggest the house class example here. And how, oh no, it's hello world. Sorry, it's hello because this method is under the hello world, right? And hello control space, and then control space. There you go, there you go. Suggesting something, so there's already hello world one here, so it suggested two. Yeah, you can make like triggers here, whatever, so you can make it two. Remember to mind your naming so it will make sense. The world, there you go. And we will execute. Since this one is yellow, it means it was not able, it hasn't been used in a code. So hello world control space, and we need to call our world 2 dot, and what is it? This one, execute, which will be here. There you go. Since 2 is greater than 10, it will be executed, right? but we don't want to execute this one. So this is false, and as you can see, this one's the IDE already expect this will not be executed. There you go. Let's try to highlight this one. Dead code. There you go. But to be sure, how about we do data int? There you go. So it's no longer something dead code. If we control S here, it will remove. There you go. So if data int will be less than 2, so 1, 0, or negative number, this will be executed. Right? And what we're going to debug now is this one. So let's try to run debug hello world again. And I was trying to look the icons here, and actually it's here. Step into, step over, so you could actually click this both too. Uh, let's just okay. So let's do this one. There you go, F6, 50, F6, do one. While we're trying to click this one, step by step, we check here, we check here. This is a string, it's already there. Let's press F6 again. Hello world was instantiated, so it's now a variable. Let's press this one or F6 again. And there you go. It was executed for the prepare variables, which is this one. Alright. And let's do an F6 again or pressing this. There you go. And F6, F6, F6. So stop from here. And we're going to do this method. I'm pressing control button and it will automatically, I think in this case it doesn't matter. You can click this one or this one and it will go to the code. There you go. And there's another one here. Right? It should stop from here, from this one. Let's try to press F6. There you go. It goes here. Now, since this one, I already said something here, false and true. Right? And if you click this one, this is this. Click this one. And there you go. It shows the variable values. Now, for example, if it's running and something like you expected to happen, but it's not happening, so normally this is it. So, for example, you were kind of expecting that this one is false and this one's true. Now, at least now you know that okay, at this point there's an error already because you're expecting this one to be true and this one to be false. You debug something already here, and perhaps in the code that you might have, that's why debugging is part of programming life, because we are still human, and that's why we're trying to automate things, because it doesn't make mistakes. But the one that makes mistakes is the one doing programming and coding. So that's why we need to debug. So this one is false, so show for loop and show while loop is true. At some cases we're expecting that this one will not go through here on this code. We're expecting that the code should not execute here, but since the while loop is true, which is this, is show while loop true, this one, apparently the value is wrong. We're expecting wrong, so we should be expecting this one true should be going here, the show for loop. So let's do it. For example, F6. And we're expecting that this one should be false and should not be going inside, but it is going inside because we did something wrong in the code. So there you go, it executed, right? It will execute 10 times, as you can see here. I'm pressing this one, it will go until, let's see, I1 is equals to 8 now. I1 is less than 10, true, it will still go here. There you go. I plus plus, I1 is 9, I1 is less than 10, it's still true, so it will still go here. And I plus plus, I'll click this one, okay, mind this one, and it's now 10. And I10 is 10, is it still less than 10? No, so it will no longer go inside this code. Let's press F6 again. There you go, it jumped now. There you go. So since this is false and we're kind of expecting that this should be true, in an example, it didn't go. So now we know what's the problem, right? So I'll press resume effect again because we will no longer, oops, why it goes here again, because it was called by this one again. And how did we do to know that? It's because this one, the thread, there you go. This is the part where, okay, for example, you're debugging and going back to the loops class, and we just call this one, right? And then I press F8, and then you're again, you're not expecting that this method will not be called, but it did call. And to know why, we can go here onto the debug. Again, this is kind of an outline too. You can click this one. This one is loops class. Loops class, this is the loops class name. There you go. Show loops text, the method name. And we can go, at some point, there are a lot of lines here. But again, in our case, it's just being called from this. So we know that hello world that main is this one. And when we click this one, we know that the reason why it's called again, it's because of this line. And that's debugging. Alright. So it will go again here. So let's try to F6. Oh, nope, didn't go, but anyways. So data int is 50, right? Again, for example, at this scenario again, data int, something like being processed somewhere here before being called. And we're like, oh, we're expecting data int should be 1 now, but it's still 50. And that's the reason why we are not executing this line of code. And you'll know why this one is not executed, because data int is still 50. Here, you can check it here on the upper right, or here, or just highlight it and it will show the value. Right, and we'll press it again, and when we press it again, terminated, because the code has called all the needed lines of code needed to be executed. Okay, so this is how debugging works. And of course, the same as learning other new things, it's not something like we get it the first time. We have to practice and implement it. I could go here anytime, millions of times telling you this, but you need to apply it. You have to try it to uh, to be able to get used to the debugging side of programming. Right? Don't be afraid. It's not something that again different. You're like just the machine already trying to check every lines of codes here. Okay, and that is debugging. Thank you.